Hey everybody, it's Joe and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be teaching you how to make roasted turkey with homemade stuffing. So you ready? Let's get into this. The first thing you have to remember is that depending on the size of the turkey that you're using, you're going to need to get that defrosted. If you bought a frozen turkey and it's say 22, 23 pounds, that could take 4 or 5 days in the refrigerator to defrost. Conversely, you can take the entire turkey, put it in the sink, fill the sink with cold water, and you can let it sit there and defrost, and the whole process should take a lot less time. The 14 pounder that we're using only took overnight, but if you're going to do it that way, you have to really keep a close eye on your bird, because once it's fully defrosted, the temperature of the water that it's sitting in is going to start rising, and you don't want this to get into the danger zone. Also, if you're doing it that way, you're going to want to change that water out on a pretty regular basis. First, you'll want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. While that's warming up, we can go ahead and get our stuffing ready. We're using a box of Mrs. Covington's traditional stuffing. You can use the seasoned stuff or the non-seasoned. This is the non-seasoned. In addition to that, we got a little bit of butter, some minced garlic, diced yellow onions, some crushed walnuts, baby bella mushrooms, some celery. Then we have our herb combination here. This is a combination of salt, pepper, thyme, rosemary, oregano, and sage. And our last ingredient is a little bit of chicken broth. Keep in mind that if you want to make this recipe, all the ingredients and measurements are going to be down in the description area of the video. Okay, to start our stuffing, let's go ahead and turn that burner on. Probably to about a medium-high heat. Throw on a little bit of non-stick spray, and then we're going to toss in our butter. Once you got that butter melted, you can go ahead and throw in your mushrooms and your onions. Keep in mind that this stuff is going into the stuffing, so we're not cooking any of this stuff all the way through. We're just browning a little bit. Throw in our garlic. And our herbs. And once your onions are starting to change color, we'll go ahead and throw in the celery and the walnuts. Keep in mind that we put these in at the end on purpose because we really don't want to cook these all that much. Because they're going to go in the turkey and we'd like to keep them a little bit firmer if we can. And once you got them combined on there, we'll want to go ahead and get this off the heat. Alright, in a large mixing bowl, we'll go ahead and throw in our breadcrumbs. And then we can take our vegetable mix that we just made, pour that right in. And we'll go ahead and give this a little stir. And at this point, after you stir this around a little bit, we're going to be adding in a little bit of chicken stock. And you see how dry this looks? We want this to be a little bit moist, but we don't want it to be wet. Just a little bit goes a long way here. And we're going to keep mixing this in until we get the consistency that we want. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great kitchen tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Maybe a tiny bit more. Okay, that's a little more like it. Now we can set this aside and get our turkey ready. Okay, let's go ahead and remove all this packaging. When you unpack your turkey, be sure to take all these bags out. These have the organs and the gizzards and the heart and the neck and everything else. Sometimes those are down in the cavity here, and sometimes they pack them up in the neck portion also. So make sure you get all that stuff out of there. I know plenty of people that have roasted a turkey with a bag still in it because they didn't know to get it out. Next, you want to rinse this thing off really well and get any residual blood out of it and everything else. Once you've got that done, you want to go ahead and pat this thing dry. Get all the moisture out of it that you can. And by the way, be sure you've cleaned your sink really well before you start doing this. Next step is you want to salt the cavities. So basically you're just going to put a whole bunch of salt on your hand and you're going to run that along all the inside area of all the cavities here. Get a nice thin layer. You'll be able to know when you got enough because you'll be able to feel it on all the surfaces in there. It'll feel like sand. Make sure you get that neck area too. Next, we're going to want to spoon some of our stuffing into the neck area. Get as much as you can in there, but you don't want to squash it to get it in there either. Trying to get a whole lot up here. Usually it's just a handful of spoonfuls here that'll fit, unless you got a really big turkey. And once you have that, you're going to pull this over. And I actually just use wooden skewers to hold this in place. Just like that. Next, you want to flip the wings over, and basically all you're going to do is take the two wings here from the bottom and just kind of pull them over, just like that. Next, we're going to flip this thing over. We're going to put it right into your roasting pan. The next step will be to go ahead and spoon in more stuffing in here. Make sure you push that back down into the cavity because there's a lot of room in there. You want to slide that back in there, but you don't want to compress it. Keep in mind that with this recipe, you're probably going to have too much stuffing. I got a little bit left over, but I'm also using a very small turkey here. It's kind of hard to determine how much you need. It's just better to make more than you need because different turkeys have different cavity sizes. You just don't want to end up being short. You can either discard the remainder, or you can mix a little extra chicken stock into it and cover it, and you can roast that alongside your turkey. Next, we're going to want to coat the entire surface of the turkey with a little bit of olive oil. Just take a little bit and then just kind of rub it all around. And sprinkle on a little bit of salt. Use that pretty sparingly though. A little bit of granulated garlic. I like to sprinkle on a little bit of thyme. Now you can actually roast your turkey, but I like to inject it also. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that, but just keep in mind, you don't really have to do that. It does come out more juicy and more flavorful though. All I did is I just mixed some butter with some garlic powder and a little bit of oil, melted the butter down really good, and I'm actually just gonna suck that into my injector, and then we'll just put it into a few key places on the turkey. Keep in mind, if you do this, don't put big chunks of herbs or anything in there, because if you do, they're gonna get stuck in the injector nozzle. Okay, back to our turkey. You're not gonna put very much in, you're just gonna inject a tiny bit into a few key areas here. If you've ever had a butterball turkey, that's kind of what they do, which is why it's called a butterball. And it's also why they taste so good. And once you've done that, we're ready to roast. If you have a big roasting pan with a big lid like I do right here, you can go ahead and just cover that up and roast it this way. If you don't have a big lid or something that'll fit over your turkey, don't worry about it. You can just loosely fit some aluminum foil over the top. Okay, next the turkey goes in. I actually have a turkey thermometer that I'm going to use. Let's put that right in here. If you don't have one of these, it's okay. It's not really necessary, but it is very convenient. It's up here and we can close the door. Since we're roasting this turkey at 325 degrees, that means we're going to need just about 15 minutes for every pound of turkey. So however heavy the turkey that you get, just multiply that out like that and you should get roughly the amount of time you need to cook the turkey. You'll know when the turkey's ready to come out of the oven because the temperature of the thickest part of the meat will read at about 165 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, you'll pull it out of the oven and let it rest for about 20 minutes or so. And during that time, it's going to cook up and it's going to actually be a little bit higher temperature, probably closer to 175 to 178. When you reach the halfway point of your cook, you need to pull the turkey out and you're going to want to go ahead and cut the tie that's holding the legs together. That way you'll be sure that everything cooks evenly. It's a good opportunity to start basting your turkey as well. So all you got to do is just take a little bit of chicken stock and just go ahead and baste over the top of your turkey. From this point on, you're going to want to make sure you just do this every 10-15 minutes or so, just to make sure you keep the surface of your turkey moist. You're probably going to go through a lot of chicken stock this way, but that's okay. And at some point, you're going to want to baste with the fluids that are sitting in the bottom of the pan instead. But until we have enough juice down there, we're going to have to do it this way. All right, so once we get down to 45 minutes or so, then that'll be time to remove the lid. And we're going to start browning your turkey. If you're just using aluminum foil, you can go ahead and discard that. And now you're going to want to start basting pretty much exclusively with the juices that we have down in the bottom of the pan if you can, because those are going to be a lot more rich. And you're going to leave this uncovered the rest of the way. And once your internal temperature reaches 165 degrees, you'll be ready to pull it out and rest. From this point on, just be sure to baste every 15 minutes or so. Okay, looks like we're just about done. Check this out. And that looks beautiful, so we'll pull this out and let it rest. Once that's rested for about 20 minutes, you can transfer that over to a serving plate, remove all that stuffing, don't forget the stuff in the neck, and you'll be ready to serve. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Joe's Phenomenal, you can watch a couple more videos, or you can visit us online at joesphenomenal.com. I thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to watch our video and hope to see you back again really soon. So once again, my name is Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.